I mean, so Russ, like, here's the thing, like, it would be hard for any player to go from being the MVP of the NBA to then taking on a role where you're coming off the bench.
Russell Westbrook, a former MVP and 9-time All-Star, must now face a difficult reality. No NBA team is interested in him. Despite detractors saying his career is ending, NBA players are speaking up.
Always vouch for Russ. Always vouch for any time, any chance, that I can team up with Russ after that experience playing with him in Oakland.
Paul George, Patrick Beverley, and others are defending him. Their reaction to his unsigned status raises a more significant query. Why is the NBA letting go of one of its best players? Let us look into it. Their voices rise for the defenders. It may be difficult to find loyalty in the world of professional basketball. Players change teams, playing against their former colleagues one season and with them the next, but they always do it with genuine passion and sometimes get angry at what they see as a grave slight to one of the greatest players in history. These were not just idle comments. It was a passionate defense of a player who had clearly won the respect and loyalty of his closest friends and family. Perhaps the most vocal defender was Michael Porter Jr., a former teammate of Westbrook's from the Denver Nuggets, who recently joined the Brooklyn Nets. When Porter appeared on the Respectfully Justin Layboy show on September 23, 2025, he did not mince words. His comments suggested that he had been affected by what he saw as Westbrook transitioned from MVP-caliber superstar to role player, one of the most difficult transitions any professional athlete can experience. Porter's irritation was immediately apparent.
So Russ, like, here's the thing, like, it would be hard for any player to go from being the MVP of the NBA to then taking on a role where you're coming off the bench, but you still have, like I said, even me, going from being the best player to then having some injuries and have to accept, like, okay, like, I need to figure out a role. That's tough. So for Russ, to go from MVP to then be told he's going to play this type of role and to then, go to these different teams and get disrespected by so many people. When he went to LA, he was disrespected crazy.
Yeah, that was crazy.
When he went to the Clippers, people hated on him crazy. Meanwhile, he's been the MVP of the NBA. So I feel like all those things.
Wait, Russ. He particularly took issue with the treatment of Westbrook by Lakers and Clippers fans during his tumultuous tenure in Los Angeles. What made Porter's comments so powerful was his readiness to address the persistent rumor that Westbrook was a disruptive presence in the locker room. Porter claimed that by using his status to deny the claims that had dogged Westbrook throughout his journeyman period, he was inspiring others. Rumors had followed Westbrook from team to team, and the scrutiny had been intense. Porter continued, obviously impressed.
Me and Russ had a good relationship. I looked up to Russ in a lot of ways. When I was young, like, Oklahoma City was the team I watched, KD and him. So it was dope getting to know Russ, and he's a fierce competitor. Like, again, like, you talk about greatness, like Russ to this day, like, he's a little older now. Like, he can still move and stuff, but he's a little older. But every day he's in the gym getting his shots up, doing his thing. The things that came out were like normal things that happen within an 82 game season in the NBA. I don't know who leaked some of the stuff in the locker room. I don't know if one of the coaches, but it was a little strange because, like, the things that came out, like, yeah, teammates are gonna, like, not see eye to eye and they're gonna get into it. It was little stuff though.
Yeah.
Porter's defense resonated because it was grounded in personal experience and genuine gratitude. During the 2024-25 season, Porter, who was 27 at the time, had observed Westbrook intently and noted his preparation, mannerisms, and interactions with teammates. It is shocking, man. With the team, Westbrook keeps getting better every day. We are talking about a man of distinction. He made 40% of his three-pointers in Denver. He won a few games in the playoffs. Why it is taking so long is beyond me. I know the Kings love him and want to trade Malik Monk to create a place for him. Man, I do not know. Beverley's comments were particularly interesting because of his personal history with Westbrook. The two were involved in a controversial incident back in 2013 when Westbrook's defensive play caused him to tear his meniscus, costing him a significant amount of playoff time. No, that is cap. He was the hardest worker and gave us encouragement when we needed it. This simple denial from someone who had played with Westbrook and had no reason to support him if the rumors were true carried a great deal of weight. Paul George, Westbrook's former teammate who played with the Los Angeles Clippers and Oklahoma City Thunder, also had some things to say. That seems insane to me. His leadership kept Kawhi and I contained while we were injured. George's perspective was particularly useful because he had experienced both Westbrook's highs and lows.
I always vouch for Russ. Always vouch for any time, any chance, that I can team up with Russ after that experience playing with him in Oklahoma. I'm going to be the first to voice, like, because it goes, like, people don't understand, it goes deeper than the on-the-court shit. What he bring off the court to a locker room, to an organization, is shit that you, like, it's one of one. You know what I mean? Like, he's passion, he's, you know, talk about somebody that's just all in and all about the team.
George went into further detail about their relationship with Oklahoma City. No cap. We wanted him back in. He is simply priceless. These were spontaneous, impassioned defenses of a guy who was struggling, being ignored, and who many had written off. Not just the points or dimes. You are incorrect about this guy, Porter, Beverly, and George were saying from their positions. You have no idea what he will bring. You are doing something wrong. These three players were not the only ones on the defense. Chris Paul and Kevin Durant also stood up for Westbrook against his detractors. Regarding the criticism that Westbrook encounters, Durant said,
"About Russ? No, not about criticism. I mean, people going to always criticize when you're successful and, you know, you're doing your thing for this long, you know. Somebody going to always find something that they don't like about you."
Durant continued.
So, you know, when he's retired, people going to really tell the truth about how they feel about his game. Right now, it's a fun thing to do is to make a joke out of Russ, but he, you know, the way he's been playing is since he got with the Clippers, showed everybody who he really is.
Chris Paul added his perspective.
I feel like the only people to do that too is the people who don't know basketball.
Fact.
You know what I'm saying? And don't know what it's like to compete. I know for me, Russ is one of my closest friends. You know what I'm saying? And so people that do that and talk crazy probably wish they could be in that situation. You know what I mean? So
former Oklahoma City player Raymond Felton also voiced his displeasure with Westbrook's treatment during his tenure. Throughout his career, the man has been despised. How can you simply disregard the man's devotion? Felton inquired, citing Westbrook's willingness to remain in Oklahoma City following Kevin Durant's departure in 2016 as evidence of his dedication and character. During their time together, even Westbrook's most recent colleague and three-time MVP, Nikola Jokic, had provided his support. Following a contentious game in which Westbrook committed late-game errors, Jokic stood up for him. Everyone makes mistakes. It happens. Jokic had commended Westbrook before.
He just waited. I'm kind of a little slower, so he just waited me to get to the spot. And he passed it always on the right time, so he always play. I mean, he's a great player. I think people and teams that he was past misunderstand him and didn't give him the opportunity to be who he is.
These were not single events. Rather, they were a part of a larger trend in which players who had actually played with Westbrook defended him and refuted the myths that had grown up about him among fans and in the media. At different moments, Austin Reeves, Bradley Beal, Aaron Gordon, and Jamal Murray all praised Westbrook's leadership and great work ethic, highlighting traits that are not evident in box scores. In the meantime, a lot of the external conversation about him was critical, concentrating on his shooting percentages, turnovers, and seeming lack of flexibility. The startling truth. The truth of Westbrook's circumstances was made much more stark by his teammates' fervent defenses. Imagine this. The date is September 30th, 2025. NBA training camps are currently underway. The days of the media have passed. All of the league's teams have put together their rosters, greeted the return of their players, and begun getting ready for the new season. The tale was not meant to go like this. Westbrook had just finished what many saw as a redemption season with the Denver Nuggets a few months prior. He averaged 13.3 points, 6.1 assists, 4.9 rebounds, and 1.4 steals in 75 games after coming off the bench for the first time in years. He also shot an impressive 44.9% from the field and even increased his three-point shooting percentage to 32.3%. He helped lead Denver to the Western Conference semifinals, had a fantastic mesh with Nikola Jokic, and contributed vital energy off the bench. He finished 7th in the Sixth Man of the Year voting because of his outstanding performance, which is an incredible accomplishment for a footballer. He had just demonstrated that he was still capable of making a significant contribution. Teams would undoubtedly appreciate his leadership skills, championship experience, and unwavering drive. That phone stayed hauntingly silent as summer gave way to fall, as free agency opened and closed, as training camps drew near and ultimately started. One of basketball's most legendary players was in a seemingly unreal condition of limbo after the market for him had all but dried up. This circumstance has far-reaching effects that go well beyond the career of a single athlete. We are talking about Russell Westbrook, a player who changed our perception of what was feasible from the point guard position, a cultural star, and a fashion trendsetter. This is the player who, after Kevin Durant left, remained faithful to Oklahoma City and, by pure willpower and will, guided a rebuilding Thunder team to the playoffs. He averaged a triple-double, not once, not twice. Nevertheless, here we are. On September 29th, 2025, Media Day arrived and departed, and Westbrook missed it for the first time in his career. Westbrook was conspicuously missing from the celebrations as his teammates posed in their new outfits, smiled for the cameras, and answered questions about their hopes of winning the championship. The basketball community was rocked when they saw all the other NBA teams gathered without him. Fans could not believe what they were seeing, or rather, what they were not seeing, and social media was ablaze with emotions. Russell Westbrook lacks a sense of teamwork. Media Day is today. One admirer said, "This is unreal, bruh," expressing the shock that many others experienced. "I would be amazed if Russ did not play," someone else wrote. Even through the television, you may feel the sadness if he does not a guy. This is difficult. On behalf of many basketball fans who could not imagine a season without Westbrook's electrifying enthusiasm, someone else begged, "Can someone take him?" The emotional and psychological toll of feeling excluded, of seeing your career progress without you, of feeling abandoned or forgotten. As it happens, the causes are intricate and varied, representing more than just Westbrook's particular situation. Westbrook, a 36-year-old point guard who turns 37 in November, is a disappearing breed in the NBA. A ball-dominant, high-usage player who thrives in transition and recklessly assaults the basket. Even if Westbrook's skill set is still impressive, it does not fit cleanly into the NBA's current systems in a time when three-point shooting efficiency is crucial and teams base their offenses on ball movement and space. For teams who are fixated on floor spacing, his career three-point shooting percentage of 30.5% presents concerns. Although useful in some situations, his propensity to control the ball runs counter to the shared wealth theory that characterizes the majority of successful modern offenses. According to reports, Westbrook was aiming for $5 to $7 million a year, which was more than the veteran's minimum of roughly $3.3 million. Westbrook was essentially informed something by the market that he probably did not want to hear. His perceived worth had fallen precipitously. Several teams have shown some interest, according to league insiders, but that interest never materialized into offers. The most likely destination turned out to be the Sacramento Kings. This is not a guy that was deservedly passed over due to poor play the previous season. This individual has not obviously lost the ability to compete in the NBA. On the contrary, Westbrook had just finished one of his best seasons in a long time, demonstrating his ability to play in a system, accept a smaller role, and make a significant contribution to a winning squad. His relationship with Jokic had been one of the season's heartwarming tales, and the Nuggets had success with him in the starting lineup. But throughout his career, the criticism had continued. According to one analyst,
You know, I was thinking, I just saw a stat that the Lakers' Russell Westbrook is the least guarded guard in the NBA. That teams essentially don't guard him and beg him to shoot. He is also simultaneously shooting 15.5% from the field in the last 2 games, the worst mark over 2 games of any Laker ever.
So why did not Denver just bring him back? What prevented other potential suitors from lining up to sign him for at least the veteran's minimum? Uncomfortable facts about the NBA's rapid star turnover, the brutality with which organizations weigh costs and benefits, and the lack of sentimentality in basketball operations decisions are revealed by the response. Basketball fit and financial limitations were not the only factors at play here. It has to do with a fundamental change in the league's assessment of various player types. Despite all of his achievements and his teammates' fervent defenses, Westbrook ended up on the losing end of that equation. Despite their fervor, the defenses were powerless to alter the underlying truth. Westbrook Russell was still unsigned, and the chance that he would begin the 2025-26 season on an NBA team became less clear by the day. The focus changed from whether Russ will find a team to why he is unable to do so. Uncomfortable as they may be, the responses also highlight challenging realities about the contemporary NBA. To address ligament tears and breaks, Westbrook had hand surgery in May 2025, raising questions about his durability. After playing 34.3 minutes a game with the Clippers, he now only plays 27.9 minutes with Denver. Additionally, during the conference semifinals of the playoffs, that number fell even lower to just 18.2 per game. game. Perhaps even more troublesome are the shooting issues. Westbrook's career three-point shooting percentage of 30.5% is significantly lower than the league average, which is about 36 to 37%. And that is a big liability at a time when offensive success is thought to depend on floor spacing. Teams were doubtful that he could maintain that progress or that it was sufficient to allay worries about his general effectiveness, even if he did improve to 32.3% from three in Denver, his best percentage since his MVP season, although it seems to have caught on in NBA front offices. His high turnover rate, averaging 3.2 per game last season and a lifetime average of 3.9, also caused concerns for teams trying to cut down on possessions thrown away. Westbrook's numbers demonstrate that he can contribute and good teams function, so there is no reason to be concerned. Colin Cowherd gave background information on this change.
Magic Johnson said this on a recent interview with Shannon Sharp of FS1. Magic said, you got to own your stuff. You can't keep blaming the media and the fans. I don't think it's in him. I don't think it's within Russell Westbrook's personality. Is that what made him a Hall of Fame level player is now a hindrance, is that he is so singular-minded that, and his belief in himself is so strong, he can't acknowledge weakness.
Instead of ball dominance, teams prefer ball movement. They are looking for guys that can keep the ball moving, space the floor, make snap choices, and flourish off the ball. Despite all of his skills, Westbrook has centered his game on controlling the ball and using his athleticism and willpower to create for both himself and others. That strategy was really effective when he was younger and more fit. And many teams thought such request was unreasonable for a player who would be 37 years old during the season, had known limitations, and would have to settle for a bench role. The math just did not add up. At the very least, you might obtain a younger guy with greater potential instead of paying top bucks for a veteran. Or why not just keep your youthful talents with that money? The problem was further compounded by additional apron limits in the collective bargaining agreement. Westbrook, despite the fact that they required assistance at point guard following Fred VanVleet's season-ending ACL tear. Similar roster constraints plagued Sacramento, the franchise most frequently associated with Westbrook, which was unable to clear a position without making the unfulfilled trades of Devin Carter or Malik Monk. Then there is his recent team history, which is an unsettling fact. The Lakers, Clippers, and Nuggets all decided not to bring him back in quick succession, sending a message to the league as a whole. Denver's choice was especially significant because Westbrook had achieved success there. What did it indicate about his market value? If a team where he fit in well and made a significant contribution did not want to bring him back, even at the very least. Even though teammates like Michael Porter Jr. denied reports of locker room problems, they nevertheless raised more questions. Westbrook was described as being so immature by an unnamed Nuggets player, and there were rumors of an altercation with assistant coach David Edelman during the playoffs. Although teammates vehemently refuted these accusations, they contributed to a perception issue that Westbrook was unable to resolve. It became more likely that Westbrook would begin the season unsigned as September stretched into October without a deal. According to league insiders, it would not surprise them if Westbrook went into the season unsigned, which would be shocking for a player of his caliber. It was impossible to avoid drawing parallels to the circumstances surrounding Carmelo Anthony in 2022, when the former scoring champion was unsigned for months before joining the Lakers. What will happen to Russell Westbrook next? Practically speaking, there are not many possibilities. As long as they make roster room, the Sacramento Kings are still the most likely destination. A reunion with DeMar DeRozan, who backs up Dennis Schroeder and contributes experienced leadership and bench power. It is a position that could benefit both parties. Each has their own priorities and roster restrictions, which presumably did not include Westbrook at his asking price. Basketball might be played abroad, with EuroLeague teams possibly providing high salaries. Although Westbrook's ongoing training schedule indicates he is not ready to put up his boots, retirement is still a possibility. His commitment to maintaining his conditioning, working out on his boat, and remaining in game form all suggest that he is a player who feels he has more to offer and is not prepared to accept that his career may be coming to an end. Westbrook once talked about his academic priorities, even looking back on his own journey.
I was a great student in school. I didn't rely on basketball. My parents always told me, you need to get a good education. And I was actually thinking about going to Stanford for academics out of high school. So, that was my first option. Basketball was just another way to get to college for my parents wouldn't have to pay for it.
That mentality of having options, of not being defined solely by basketball, may serve him well now. The waiting game continues with Westbrook caught in a painful limbo. Training camps have started without him. Media days have come and gone without his presence. The regular season looms just weeks away, and with each passing day, the window for joining a team grows smaller. Teams have set their rotations, established their chemistry, and begun their preparation. Adding a player of Westbrook's stature and needs midstream becomes increasingly complicated. Westbrook's unsigned status forces us to confront uncomfortable questions about loyalty, about how quickly the league moves on from its stars, about the value we place on different types of contributions. It highlights the brutal reality that professional sports, for all the emotion and passion they inspire, ultimately operate on a ruthless logic that has no room for sentiment or nostalgia. As October unfolds and the regular season approaches, Russell Westbrook's future remains uncertain. Whether he finds a landing spot with Sacramento or elsewhere, whether he eventually accepts a training camp invite, whether he considers overseas options, or whether he decides to walk away from the game on his own terms, only time will tell. Enjoying the content? Make sure to check out the suggested videos by clicking the cards on your screen. Cards on